Hello, and welcome, dreamers and believers, family and friends. My name is Florence, and this is Fireside with Florence, the show where we peel back the public persona and explore the life journeys of people of African heritage. Join me as I welcome the guest for this episode, Shillar Sibanda, the chair of Africa Day Australia. Shillar Sibanda is a highly respected African Australian community leader. She's a co-founder and president of Africa Day Australia, an organisation that promotes social cohesion within the broader Australian community. She's also co-founder and past president of the Zimbabwe community in Victoria, where she introduced a healthy living program called Keep Moving that promotes nutrition, mental, physical, and emotional health with amazing results. She's a runner who participates in many fundraising runs in Victoria across the 10-kilometre half marathon and marathon distances. Shillar has been recognised for her efforts at the highest level of Victorian government, being a recipient of the 2018 Premier's Volunteer Champion Award. This was presented at State House by the Governor of Victoria, Governor Linda Dessau. The award was in recognition of the volunteer work she does with African Australian communities at large. She was also awarded the Ambassador of Peace Award from the Universal Peace Federation in recognition of her ongoing work promoting social cohesion amongst Melbourne's culturally diverse population. Shillar also founded Hand to Hand Cincinnati, a charity that donates equipment and stationery to schools in Plumtree in Zimbabwe. Professionally, Shillar is a mental health clinician who specializes in forensic psychiatry and has worked across the public and private health sectors, with most of her work in Victorian prisons. Her passion is to promote emotional well-being and positive mental health of clients and families that she works with. She has degrees in accounting, nursing, and a master's in psychiatric nursing. Welcome back, everyone. I'm really delighted to have with us today Shillar Sibanda, who is the chair of the Africa Day Victoria. And Shillar is here to talk to us about her journey and the work that she's doing out in the community. So Shillar, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Florence.
So Shillar, to start us off, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, Florence. I have a lot of titles because I'm a woman. I'm a mother, I'm a sister, I'm a colleague, I'm a wife, I'm a daughter, I'm a companion, and most of all, a type of person that you can depend on, somebody who gives herself fully to any situation that I encounter. And my daughters will describe me as a source of constant strength and a never-ending fountain of wisdom and inspiration for them, which is something really good and something that I have always held to high esteem. And my friends have always described me as someone who does not flinch in the face of crisis and someone who enjoys seeing others succeed and thrive in whatever they are doing. And it was great to hear that being echoed and repeated last weekend on my 50th birthday when they were talking about the things and the ways that I have affected them and in the community, which is quite good. And in the last 50 years, really, I can say my journey quite began almost 25 years ago when I arrived in Australia. I arrived in Australia with two young daughters. My older daughter was 3 then, and the younger one was just 8 weeks old.
Oh.
And I had this culture shock because, to be honest, I had not lived outside Africa for any given time, and it was my first time to venture out and to venture out to a Western world where I didn't have any social support whatsoever. And it was the first time that I felt kind of unsheltered, I could say, because I had left all those support systems that I had back home. And here was myself, my husband, and our two little girls. And the kind of culture that I encountered was quite so different from the culture that I was used to. I was used to a collectivist kind of culture where we lived a communal kind of life. And here I was in a Western world and in an individualist culture. And one thing that struck me was that you never saw anyone on the streets. Everybody would just come in, open their garage door with their remote control and drive in and close their garage door. And you never saw any children playing outside or anyone. And that's when I learned the term garage door syndrome. And I thought, oh my goodness, what have I gotten myself into here? Is this the kind of life that I would like to live? And during that time, there were not a lot of Zimbabwean families around. And I think there were, really to be precise, about 8 families in Melbourne.
Wow.
From Zimbabwe. So we've gotten to know each other quite quickly because we used each other as a support system. But unfortunately, we were all scattered all over because others had come in as international students and some had come in as skilled migrants. So it just depended on where your job was or where your uni was. So that's where people lived. And with that, I just thought to myself, this is just too depressing. This is so lonely and I'm so homesick and I've got these 2 little girls and I had no idea what I was going to do. And I needed to pave a way for myself and really got my act together and saw what I could change or what I could live with in the culture that I was in. And so we got together with the Zimbabweans that were there at that time and thought maybe we should form a Zimbabwean community. But unfortunately then, not all of us were on board with that. And so it meant that we didn't even meet the numbers to actually register as a community organization.
Wow.
So it took a bit longer and after a couple more families had arrived, that's when we managed to get the numbers and registered ourselves as a Zimbabwean community. And the aim was to be a support system for each other so that other Zimbabweans that come in really don't go through what we have just experienced, at least have that support system, know where to find things quicker than we did. And that was the birth of the Zimbabwean community. And after that, I just thought, oh, this is a little bit better. I'm becoming a bit comfortable in my adopted country. And so the other thing was to see what I can do in terms of trying to influence at least the culture in my street. So I thought, we are all from everywhere, and it's what is it that I can do that can be common to all of us around the street.
Yeah.
So I decided that I talked to my husband and decided that we have an end of year street party whereby we just host a street party, but just have it outside, whereby no one owns it. We all come in, we bring a dish. We get to know each other as people from the same street. And so I went on and sent invitations at the end of the year, and almost everybody turned up. Wow. And it was really good. We realized that it was just a fear of the unknown, really. We are all the same underneath it, and we all needed that comfort and that support, and to get to know each other. Yeah. And from there on, really, we had that good relationship whereby our children were playing together, and our children gotten to know each other, and we us as well as adults got to know each other, and it was really good. And I tell you, 24 and a half years down the line, we still have street parties.
Oh, you're still in the same street. I like that.
They're really good. We've moved twice since then, but we still carried on the tradition of having street parties, and it's a good way of knowing each other.
And so the whole theme around community and what community means to you really comes through in that journey. And so talk to us a bit about the work of Africa Day Australia, because that is now taking it to the next level in terms of not just looking at the Zimbabwean community, but looking at the African community across Victoria. So what is ADA, and what is it? Why is it there? Just talk us through that whole journey.
We realized that we are cocooned, being just the Zimbabwean community. We realized and saw how other cultures are living, and we liked what we saw. We wanted to learn more. We were thirsty for that knowledge, and in order for us to do that, we thought, look, as Africans ourselves, we need to be able to get together and at least do things as African Australians. And we just thought, what is it that we can do that can be common to all African Australians? And we decided that maybe all around the world, Africa Day is celebrated formally by a lot of countries. And by the way, Africa Day is the annual commemoration of the foundation of the Organization of African Unity, which was founded on the 25th of May in 1963 in Addis Ababa. And we realized that we didn't formally celebrate this day in Australia. So we thought, let's form an organization, Africa Day. In 2012, we formed Africa Day, the aim being that we need to be able to tell our own story as African Australians. We need to celebrate Africa Day. We need to bring Victorians as a whole into our world, for them to get to know us and for us to get to know other cultures. And we looked at the things that might help us be able to garner support from other African Australians. And we realized that the sports is one thing that we are good at, and we embrace as quickly as possible. So we decided to have a sports festival and have that comradeship. And during that time, at least we'll talk about things that can help us move forward. Things like fitness, things like dietary intake, things like physiotherapy. And then we also thought about things that can affect younger people. Our young people are very much skilled in arts. So we decided to have Africa's Got Talent, which has been something that is very popular for young adults in arts. And so every year we have auditions in different municipalities. So they choose the best 12 from all those municipalities, and those 12 young adults are the ones that compete for the Africa's Got Talent. And it's proven to be very, very successful. And the whole aim is to bring light into the people that wouldn't otherwise have connections out there in the arts world. To promote our young ones as well to be known and to get jobs in arts. And because these young committee members are the ones that take charge. So we've got a mentorship in engineering, sound engineering, mentorship in DJing, mentorship in running of the workshops themselves. So really they learn a lot through that. And we also have the forums. With the forums, we've got the youth forums, which look at pertinent issues that are affecting the youth, things like racism, employment, careers for the year 10, 11, and 12 that are choosing their careers, and also looking at intergenerational issues, because a lot of young people are going through internet generational issues whereby we have our culture, we bring in our culture, and we want to sort of think that as adults, this is the culture that a young person should always live by, and forgetting that our culture is not static, culture changes, and these children are growing up in Australia, and hence they have also adopted the Australian culture, and hence we get together and talk about all these things and how we can both learn from each other, them learning from us, and us as adults learning from our children. And so it has been a really good exchange. And we also have the families forums, which talks about issues that are affecting families in the homes. These are things like domestic violence, health and well-being. A lot of our families have come here healthy and fit. And there was a study that was done by Professor Renzaho from Monash University. And we used that 4-year study we used the results to look at the issues that have been affecting our families around, and the things that have really affected our families have been the high blood pressure and cholesterol and things like diabetes type 2. And so we used the platform of Africa Day Australia to discuss health and well-being and how we can eat healthily, exercise, and look after ourselves so that we can live longer. Still on the forums, we've got what we call Advanced African Australian Agenda, which is in short quadruple A. And with that, we talk about the businesses. And so people doing business here, and we have people that are also interested in doing business in Africa. And we culminate our events on the last weekend of May, which is by hosting our gala dinner, which is now the signature of a lot of people really in Melbourne. So many people have got
It
that
is
on their
the evening to
calendar.
attend.
Yes, they do look forward to the gala dinner because this is the time really to just celebrate and invite people into the African culture, into the African food and the African experience without the price tag of the airfares to go into Africa. And we've had a lot of prominent dignitaries attending the gala dinner. They love it. We've had the premier. We always have the Lord Mayor, diplomats, business people, and people from the Victoria Police, from the commissioner down to everybody. And we have a lot of our African Australian leaders and students as well. We always make sure that we've got about 4 tables that are sponsored, and so that we can bring in our youth to come and have that experience. In a nutshell, that's what Africa Day Australia is all about. And with that, we have had some recognition from all over Victoria, really. In 2014, Africa Day Australia was given the Multicultural Award for excellency in the community. And in 2017 and 2018, we have been runners-up of the prestigious Melbourne Awards, which is a really good thing for a community organization which is run solely by volunteers, because none of our members gets paid for the efforts and the time.
You've spoken a bit about engaging external stakeholders and engaging whether it's in the wider community, some of the leaders, and also just generally the wider community. Why is that important to you in terms of the work that you're doing here?
Two things, mainly the exposure, because we live in a multicultural community, and it is important that we always acknowledge that and know that the more we spread ourselves and get to know others, the more we learn. And we are the youngest community of immigrants to arrive in Australia, and hence it is important that we get together with others and learn from those that have been here before us, and hence that the importance of having external stakeholders to work with. And it's also important really to work with other African Australians so that we can help each other grow. And it is through working together that we can be able to grow together as a community.
Yeah. And I mean, there's a lot of work that you're doing as part of ADA. It's so holistic. It's covering every aspect of people's lives, but in a fun and engaging way as well. What are some of the challenges you faced on the journey in terms of pulling all of that together?
Africa is a very large continent. And here in Victoria, African Australians are from all over the continent, really. Some of us arrived here as skilled migrants, some as refugees, and others as international students. And hence our goals are different. And what I have found is that with that, we sort of have a challenge of lacking that shared vision among our members and in what we are trying to do, because we all come from different backgrounds, different cultural beliefs, and different understanding of life, really. So it takes quite a lot to get others to understand unity in action, and that concept is something that eludes us a lot of times. And we try by all means that whenever we meet, we emphasize the vision and our intended outcomes, so that we are always on the same path and striving for the same goal. And another issue that I think really affects us, that we are beginning to address now as African Australians, is the fragmentation that occurs amongst us in resolving issues. You find that we are few, but we have a lot of different organizations which are doing similar things. And of late, we have gotten together and said, look, guys, at the end of the day, our goals are the same. But why are we working in such a fragmented manner? Let's get together and combine these organizations that are doing similar things, so that we can have that unity and move our goals faster than we would achieve if we were working as individual little organizations.
Yeah, and it is a very difficult and challenging space, but obviously you're doing very well in terms of the awards that Ada has received. But then also on a personal level, you have also received some awards, and I can understand why your daughters are calling you inspiring. So in 2018, you received the Premier's Volunteer Champions Award, which is one of our state's most prestigious awards, recognizing you for your influence and your leadership in support of the community in Victoria. So why are you so passionate about the community? What is driving this passion?
I think it's it really comes from my background. Coming from Zimbabwe, I come from a place where I have that first-hand experience of seeing how we can achieve good things by working together. And so it's something that I have always pursued. Whenever I have an idea, I have always wanted to share that idea with others, so that we can have that power in numbers, really, and achieve wonders much quicker than we would as individuals. You know, there is an old African adage that epitomizes the essence of African Renaissance, of integration and cooperation for a common good, that says it takes a village to raise a child. And so I come from that background where literally it does take a village to raise a child. And also the concept of Ubuntu, whereby I am because you are. Whatever I do does affect the person next to me, whether that person likes it or not, whether I like it or not. If today I set myself a goal to change something in my world, and because we are so interconnected and we live in a shared space, that thing that I am working towards to change my turf is something that's going to affect someone, because it's not just my turf, it's our turf. And I always see this whenever I do my fun runs, which of course you also participate in, Florence. And when we're fundraising and look at places like Peter McCallum, for example, millions and millions of dollars are raised each year by a lot of Melbournians and people from all over, just by saying, I need to put something, I need to be part of a community, I need to work towards change, I need to live for a purpose and make a difference in the lives of people that are less fortunate than I am. And if someone can't do the mileage of running, they put in some money. If they cannot put in some money, they put in some time in the contributions and do some volunteer work. And so to me, it's my passion, it's my drive, it's what I live for, to always make sure that I leave the place a better place than I found it. And I always ask my children to do the same thing, that continue to build a legacy. It's never too early to build a legacy. You can start from 3 years old to make a difference in life.
And so, and that's a very valid point, because you have two lovely daughters, and your husband Steve also works very actively in the community. So it's obviously a shared passion within your whole family. But it's a lot of work and it's a lot of time. And I'm constantly teasing you about the amount of time, you're all over the place. How have you managed to prioritize that and manage to juggle all those commitments while, raising a family, having a full-time job, all of that?
Yeah, sure. It's not easy. Just juggling life in general. And it becomes much difficult, of course, if you put in extra curriculum activities like volunteer work. But I find that it has been easy for my family, in that we have a shared vision with my husband. And when our girls were younger, quite young, that's under 8 really, life was very easy, because we could just zip them along, and anything that we did with them. And it was very, very much easier than when they started to grow and have their own extracurricular activities. So that meant that the weekends now were taken by the events that the girls were doing, because they both participated in completely different sporting activities. Our older daughter has always loved the arts, and our younger one was into basketball and netball. And so it meant that we both had our hands full. One will have to drive the other one to a different area altogether, and so on and so forth. So that was a difficult period in terms of trying to put in extra time for community volunteering. And during that time, I remember those years up until the girls really finished high school, it was quite strenuous, because we would have to do community work in the dead of the night when the girls are asleep. That's when we will have to be working on the computers and planning and having. Then we never used Zoom as much as we did. We'll be phoning and doing all sorts of things. And I look at it and think, why didn't we think of Zoom? We could have solved a lot of problems then. But anyway, time went past, and the girls gotten older, of course, and now we can now put in as much time as we want into community, because the girls are living their own little lives out there. They are young adults, and we now do as much as we want, which is good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, and that's the thing, because I think now that they're out there, they're forging their own identities in the volunteer space, but they're continuing to carry that on. And I know that for you, that connection to volunteering, but also the connection to culture is very important. And calling Australia home, as you mentioned, raising children in Australia when you actually have a different cultural background can be a set of challenges on its own. So how have you tried to instill and maintain the culture within your family?
Yeah, that hasn't been easy. Having arrived here at the age of 25 with two young daughters, and to a different culture altogether from the one that I come from. And so I thought to myself, my goodness, how am I going to be able to raise these children here now that I don't have my mom to rely on, or my aunties and everybody else? So the easiest and best way for me really was to model myself. And because I believe that modeling appropriate behavior is a powerful way really to transmit culture and values. And children learn more when they see us as their parents do things, rather than when we tell them what to do. And I come from a collectivist culture where the extended family system plays a pivotal role in the upbringing of children. And this is where values are defined, preserved, and passed on from generation to generation. And on the other hand, here I am raising my children in a Western culture, which is by and large individualistic, and the focus of relationships here being more in a nuclear family where there is mom, dad, the kids, and pets if you've got any. And most of the learning happens in this nuclear family setting. And connection with extended family really is not as strong as of where I came from. And it is in these spaces that I've gotten to learn about this step siblings, the half brothers, and these were new concept to me, and things that I never gotten to know about, things where somebody expect to be given space. To me, what is space? Where I come from, there is no space. Anytime somebody knocks on the door and they come in, and they don't have to make an appointment to come in. And therefore, raising children in diaspora really required me to negotiate these dynamics of both collectivism and individualism. And these two cultures had to merge, because whether I liked it or not, I was in Australia and I was an Australian. I have chosen to leave my home and come and live here. And hence it was important that I found a way of building a foundation for my children, embracing both these cultures and drawing parallels from both these cultures. And so that's what I did. And I sat down with my children as early as possible to talk about the differences, and so that they as well have that foundation, and they know where they come from, and also embrace where they are, because as you know, culture is static, and it changes from generation to generation. The way my parents were brought up is different from the way they brought me up, and it's also the way I'm bringing up my children is different from the way I was brought up. And our culture is also impacted by migration, it's impacted by the environment, it's impacted by socio-economics and by political events, and even natural or man-made disasters. Look at how COVID-19 has changed our culture. Things have changed. Things are not going to be the same after the experience that we are having right now with COVID-19. And so it is quite important, and it is quite delicate that when we are raising children in diaspora, we make sure that we have that balance so that our children have a solid foundation. And I have tried by all means to put in as much effort as possible on trying to highlight those things while raising the girls. And one thing that I intentionally did from the word go when we arrived in Australia was to make sure that at least my children don't lose the language. And the best way was for me to ensure that I always speak to them in my language, because I know they speak English 9 hours in a day while they're out there, but they are with me just for a few hours in a day when they come from school or before school. And hence it is that time that at least I always speak to them in my language, so that they keep that language. It's part of their identity, it's part of who they are. And once they know their roots, they know who they are, they will be grounded for life, which is one thing that we need to empower our children with.
No, very true. And as you said earlier, you know, you turned 50 last week. Congratulations, a big milestone there. And all your friends and family celebrating with you. It's obviously been a really interesting journey. So I think just looking back on all of that, if you were wrapping all of that up, if you were to give advice, pearls of wisdom, what would it look like?
A couple of books that have really changed the way I see things, and one book in particular is by Eckhart Tolle. Eckhart Tolle is The Power of Now, a guide to spiritual enlightenment. And that book taught me how to live an intentional life, and to be able to think and live in the present. And what I have learned about living in the present, and the advice that I would give to the younger ones, is that whatever you do in life, give it your whole, and give it your all, and be present, because when you are present, you are able to determine that yes, this is something that I like to be part of. This is something that I choose to live by. And it's only through that you can make a choice to say to yourself, oh well, like I said at the beginning, that I needed to change the culture in my street somehow. I didn't know how, but I knew that it's not the kind of life that I wanted to live, that sort of a private life. It was because I was present in that situation. And it gives you the choice to say, okay, I'm here. I can change the situation, or I can live with this situation the way it is. And you can only achieve that when you are present in a certain situation at any particular time. And another book that I have read recently in the last 2 years really is by our very own Melbourne girl, Samia Sadiq Ojibara. And she lives here in the western suburbs, actually. And the name of the book is Time Travels in My World. And I have read that book twice so far, and also listened to the audio, and that's how it has influenced me. It has taken me through various themes of self-awareness, through to spirituality, through to race, through to identity, to relationships. And I found myself lost in a book. And I have learned so much about life, and so much about our day-to-day living through that book. And I would say to the younger ones, just go out there, read as much as you can, and live in the present, and you will enjoy life, and you will find yourself making good decisions, because whatever you will be doing, you will be doing it intentional, which is something that will lead you to greater heights in life.
Wow, that is so profound. And so just to wrap this all up, Sheila, thank you so very much for that. That was really jam-packed with nuggets of knowledge. Really appreciate it. Ada, where can people find you on social media if people want to find out more about Ada and the work that Ada is doing?
Yes, we are on Africa Day Australia. We are on Facebook. We are on Twitter. And yes, so we are also on Zoom. So we have our monthly meetings where we discuss and talk about the things that are affecting us, especially now during COVID-19. And if you go on our Facebook page, you always see the dates of our monthly meetings, and everybody is welcome to be a member of ADA, whether you are an African Australian or you are anybody from any part of the world. It's an organization that is open to all nationalities, and to anyone who is an Australian, really.
Okay. Oh, thank you very much for that. So any last words?
Live life to the fullest. Give it your all and live with a purpose. Each and every one of us came on earth for a reason, and each and every one of us need to dig deep into ourselves and find that reason and make a difference in anybody's life. We can all do it. No matter where we are, we can make a difference. And putting a smile on someone's face is the greatest thing that you can give yourself as an individual. Thank you.
Oh, that's lovely and a beautiful place to end. Thank you so very much for your time, Sheila. Really appreciate it and look forward to seeing what you continue to do in the future.
Thank you so much for your time, Florence.
I hope you found that as inspiring as I did. Please remember to like us and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on other episodes. We look forward to seeing you again next time on Fireside.